Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about one of the biggest issues in multifamily, which is employee engagement and how it's impacting us in so many ways, such as uh, high turnover. We're having staffing shortages. We have a lot of things going on in multifamily. And so we want to address these issues. And I am thrilled to have Shelley Watson, who is Executive Vice President of Operations at Morgan, to join us today and talk about employee engagement. Shelley, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let me jump right in, and before we talk about what you all are doing right now today, I'd like to rewind the clock a bit because you all have been in business for a very long time. I believe it's what the third generation of Morgans. So I'd like to hear about what you all have done in the past to create a positive culture at your company.
You know, what, like you said, our company is a third generation family owned business and have been in business for over 60 years. And really, the foundation of Mr. Morgan Sr. has trickled down to our company. And we've been a small company up until recently, and our growth has just really exploded in the past 2 to 3 years. But being a smaller company, we were able to create that kind of work family like atmosphere for our team members. And our executive team knew our managers, knew our leasing professionals, and knew our construction team members. And so it was easy for us to do that for our size. And then also our Morgan values were really instilled 60 years ago, and those carried forward to our company. I'll say over the years, we have really participated in some best places to work surveys, the Houston Chronicle Best Places to Work, and the National Apartment Association Best Places to Work. And we got that feedback, and we were rated Best Places to Work for 6 years in a row. And then also for NAA Best Places to Work in 2021.
Love it, love it. So, in fact, that's one of my favorite aspects of what we talked about. How when we talk with different property management companies about different challenges that they face, a lot of times they're coming at it from a they have a challenge, they feel weak in a certain this area, and they're trying to figure out what do we do in this area. And when I talked to you, you all had such a great existing culture already. You'd already won awards, but you were thinking about how to take that next step, how to improve from there to build upon that. And I think that's such a great message of constant innovation with any process you have. I think it's fantastic. So I'd love to talk about now. Let's kind of fast forward to today, and I know that you've brought in Swift Bunny, for example, to take on a more methodical approach. So you're looking at interactions and touch points with your team members on a continual basis to see trends and get feedback on all these different areas. Can you explain that process for me?
Sure. As I mentioned, we were really proud of our culture with Morgan. And, while attending a Texas Apartment Association education conference and trade show last year, I happened to sit in the Swift Bunny presentation, and I had an aha moment and went, oh my gosh, this is what we need to do. We need to get real time feedback from our team members in, as you mentioned, a more methodical way. And with our growth, it became a little more difficult to get that feedback. And so Swift Bunny offered a survey for us to do, just an employee engagement survey. And that was our base. And we took our base, and then we're going to continue to survey our team members throughout the year, such as new hire, their onboarding experience, their first week of employment, their anniversary check-ins, and then also any kind of position changes. So when I heard that and saw their dashboard about how easy that feedback was to get, and to get that information and look for trends and be able to react quickly on those trends, I said, well, this is for us. And spoke to our HR group, and they were thrilled to have it. And so we rolled it out quickly.
What aspects were you looking to improve the most?
You know, to be really honest with you, we really didn't know. We knew, and we were proud of our culture. We were proud of our best places to work, but we just really wanted to hear from our team members and hear from them about what we needed to do to improve. And with our growth, I was, somewhat concerned that with a lot of new team members, and we learned quickly that a majority of our team members had been with the company less than 3 years. And so that was a moment for me when I went, okay, um, everything that we have built over the course of many, many years, we've got so many new team members that don't know that, and they don't know that culture. And we've got to make sure that we're continuing to do those same things or do new things to help continue to grow that culture and not lose it.
I think a lot of times we have a lot of things that are just understood with existing team members. It's like the way that the company runs and how the culture is, and and understanding how to communicate that culture to new team members, and also then weave their own aspects, and have these great new people with their own diverse backgrounds, and how to leverage that as well. I can imagine would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, and I'll share a quote that was shared with me from Dr. Debbie Phillips that really hit home. She said, "We know the cookies are being made, but they're just being made with the last recipe they had." And I went, okay, well that really explains it. And we know the job is getting done, but we want to make sure that we're using a successful recipe that's been so important to our company for 60 plus years.
I love Dr. Debbie. She's amazing. So,
Yeah.
can you tell me, as you started getting data back, what did you find were the biggest wins that you all had? Like, where do you find that you're actually doing really well at?
Sure. We really had impressive scores in um, all of our team members understood that customer service and that customer service satisfaction was important to them in their role. So that was a big win for us. Um, Also, we scored really high with our team members felt they had good relationships with their coworkers, as well as a high level of respect for leadership.
And what about the areas where you felt like you were missing the mark?
We learned a lot, and it was interesting. We learned that we needed to be more creative in communicating our advancement opportunities to our team members. We learned what community outreach activities were important to our teams. Giving back to the community is something that's important for the Morgan Group. But really hearing our team's feedback on what they could get behind was important for us. Um, we learned that we needed to communicate our entire benefits package, all of the benefits that you have working for Morgan in a in a better way, so our team members understood the value of the entire compensation package. We also learned that we needed to do a better job at communicating to our maintenance teams. Um, and this segment of those surveys had the lowest response rate. So that was a big moment for us that we knew we could, correct immediately. Um, and as a result, we implemented several things. And one of the things that we got together with operations and human resources and property management, we decided we wanted to do, two or three things really well to move the needle. We didn't want to roll out 15,000 things and not do them well. So we really honed in on what those two or three things were. Um, One of the things we did really quickly is we increased our vacation and sick accruals. We found that we were a little behind in our arena, and so we increased those immediately the beginning of this year. And we also allowed additional sick and vacation time to be rolled over to each year. Um, we um, we also hired an education and strategy manager to make sure that our team members understood their career path, and that we knew, having gone through almost 2 years of COVID and doing everything online, that the value of in-person education and training was really high. We had been doing things online for a year and a half or so, and so we hired an education and strategy manager to work with our teams. And as a result, with that, we also implemented a manager training program for our assistant managers. And we rolled that out late 2021. And I'm really excited to say we're about to have our first graduating class this month. And we're rolling out our next class as well. And that is helping prepare our bench and our future leaders for opportunities. And with our growing company, we need to have those leaders and that bench ready to go, and have the tools that they need to be successful in their positions. We also kind of tweaked our payroll and benefits software program a little bit to make it a little more user friendly, so our team members could understand and see the opportunities that were available within the company easier. And we've seen these things pay off, especially with the manager training program, and also our ability to communicate the opportunities internally to our teams. We've had 5 promotions in the past 6 months, from on-site to corporate support positions.
I love that. You hit on so many things that I think that a lot of companies could improve upon. I love the building the bench strength aspect, where not only are you preparing, you're helping them, get to that next level and kind of building your pipeline of great talent, but then you're also showcasing to them their future opportunities. I think that's fantastic. I love the part about the communication with maintenance. I think so oftentimes in our industry that maintenance they're out of sight, out of mind almost. They're not in the office. They're not communicating with, the office team, and the office team doesn't always communicate from them, from their internal office to the maintenance team very well. So I think that's phenomenal. How did you kind of get the word out about those changes to all of your team so they knew that you were reacting to what their concerns were?
We had a town hall call where our human resources and talent acquisition group and our employee relations team, as well as operations, and myself, we had a town hall call for all of our team members, and we shared the results, and we shared the things that we did really well, because we really wanted to just continue that message of what our teams thought about the company and share that good news. And then we shared some of the things that we needed to improve upon and the things that we had done to, improve upon those things. And it was a great call. We had, funny enough, funny story. We've grown so much that we had to extend our Zoom capabilities. We had more people than we thought we were going to have, and I went, "Oh, hey, we need to expand our Zoom capabilities so we can get all of our team members on the call." And so that's how we shared that with them. And we plan to have those Zoom town hall calls very frequently over the year.
Love it. So you had mentioned, we talked about earlier, you had mentioned this concept called culture carrier, which I thought was fascinating. So can you explain what that is?
Sure. Our culture carriers are our tenured Morgan team members that have lived and breathed the Morgan culture, and experienced the things that we provide, and why we think this is such a great place to work, and why our surveys have shown that. And those people, we really lean into to continue to share those stories about their experiences with Morgan to our new team members. and those people are infused in kind of our agendas that we're rolling out to our managers for our manager conferences that we have, our our agendas for our assistant manager and maintenance meetings, and just making sure that we're touching base with that group, that we're infusing, you know, that learned culture throughout the company. And one thing I forgot to mention, another thing we did for our maintenance team members is they needed a voice. They needed a voice to communicate to us, and they also needed leadership and direction. And so we created a regional maintenance manager position. We were of the size where we realized we needed that, and that helps draw that team together on a regular basis and helps them network with each other, and a leader that they can lean on for support and for also identifying the needs that they have.
Love it. So we've talked a bit about the past with Morgan, what you're doing, the present, and then let's look out in the future. What metrics are you using to assess whether or not these efforts now are actually moving the needle in the future?
Sure. Swift Bunny does ongoing surveys, now that we have our base employee engagement score. And there is a survey for every new hire, and it goes through their new hire experience, their onboarding experience, their anniversaries, and any kind of a role position change. And we have a dashboard, leaders within our company, that we are looking for that feedback and looking for those scores. And it's something that we meet on a quarterly basis, and review our scores and the feedback on areas we need to change or improve upon. For example, we got some recent feedback from a new team member that maybe our follow up system and our tablet system that we use for prospects when showing apartments and for follow up was a little cumbersome. And it was just a small thing, that they wanted a keyboard for the tablet. And it was a really easy thing. And we said, well, gosh, let's order keyboards for all the tablets. And, we needed to hear that. So it's real time, but it's also measured by meetings on a quarterly basis to see where we need to improve and if there are small changes we can make or big changes.
So speaking of small changes or even just immediate things, a lot of the people who are going to be watching this, since this issue is so prevalent in multifamily right now, there's going to be a lot of companies who are struggling, and they haven't taken those steps to get as far as you all have. What would you say are the low hanging fruit of employee engagement that they could implement to get some immediate results?
Um, I would say, I mean, just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to listen to your team. Don't be afraid to really keep your ear out to what they have to say and what their needs are. And then the other thing I would say that would be simple, and if you're not going to do some sort of ongoing employee engagement survey, is from a senior leadership standpoint, it's really easy to get stuck behind your desk, and be on Zoom calls and meetings. But get out there, go visit your sites, go visit your properties, go visit the construction sites, talk to your team, and being visible to them, and just 2 or 3 minute conversations with someone that's a leasing professional or a construction superintendent per se, um, that speaks volumes. And that's something that you can do very easily. I really try to do that and get out on site, uh, and encourage our whole team to do that as well. And I will say, the past year and a half with COVID, it was really easy to be behind your desk and behind a computer screen. And so, dust off your walking shoes and get out there and go visit.
It reminds me a lot of you're talking about, actually listening, going out there. Don't be afraid of that. It reminds me of our residents too, where, a lot of
Yeah.
companies, it's really easy to, we haven't heard from a resident in a while. So we just kind of hope that everything's fine. We kind of stick our head in the sand and go, well, it's okay, and we kind of ignore that relationship because they're not actively reaching out to us. And that doesn't mean that they're going to stay though. They could be very upset and they're not making their voice heard. So, being proactive in reaching out to hearing those stories is so key. I love that. One last thing I'd like to kind of touch on before we go is you all had done something called, it was a hashtag Your Morgan Story. Can you tell us about that for a second?
Sure. As a result of getting together and going over the Swift Bunny surveys and coming up with creative ideas about how we could continue to share our Morgan story and our Morgan culture, is we came up with a promotion and a program called Your Morgan Story. And we rolled out a contest to all of our team members, and we asked them to create a video telling about how they joined Morgan and how they joined the Morgan work family. And then we also asked them to tell us why or what Morgan key value is most important to them. So our team members far and wide submitted videos to our marketing team, and those videos were taken to a group of impartial judges, and we voted on the best one, and that person received a really nice prize and recognition. But then the other thing it did was we had such great content of so many good videos. It was honestly hard, the judges said, to pick a winner. And so we're using that content and those videos on our social channels, and our talent acquisition and recruiting group are using those videos and stories as an example to someone we may be interviewing for a position, to say, hey, let us show you a sneak peek of what it's like to work for Morgan. And it was really great. I loved seeing the videos and loved hearing the stories. And I think we'll continue to do stuff that ongoing.
That's fantastic. I love seeing it. You shared an example with us. So as we sign off today, Shelley, first of all, thank you so much for taking some time with me today to share your Morgan story. That meant a lot to me. And as we sign off, I'd like to share one of the videos that you had for us from Jayla. So thank you again, Shelley, and let me pass over to Jayla.
Hi, my name is Jayla Gentry, and I'm currently serving as a leasing agent at the Beacon at Buffalo Point apartment community. Today is such a special day for me because this marks the 1-year anniversary of me becoming a part of the Morgan Group family. So here's my story. On October 15th, 2020, I set out to do the Fearless. I got my first apartment. I was so nervous, but yet so excited because I knew moving to Beacon at Buffalo Point started a new chapter in my life. Being that I was so excited to be a part of this community, I quickly became the friendly face around the property. You would often see my dog and I at the dog park, or you would see us strolling past the office where we would often say hi to the management team. You gotta go, bring it back. Although all was going well in my home life, I was hit with devastation as I was notified that I was being laid off from my current job due to COVID. Out of panic and pure fear of what the future would hold, I went to go talk to the property manager. And that's how I ended up at the Morgan Group Career Fair. And there it started, that new chapter that I was waiting for. 5 years in education and no property management experience, but yet I still felt equipped enough to do this job. That's because after learning the Morgan values, I realized that all it took was commitment. Commitment to the people, commitment to quality and service, commitment to the highest standards, and commitment to the future. I would like to thank the Morgan Group for helping me redefine what home means. It doesn't just mean your dwelling. It also means the place that you have committed to being in the future. I have such a long list of people who I can thank for this opportunity. But the moral of my story is I'm grateful and I'm appreciative. Thanks to the Morgan Group, I can't wait to see what the next chapter of my life will hold.